What was the first thing that you chanted about that you remember?
You asked what's the most significant thing we've chanted
Okay.
about? Or maybe even we can do it as a family, if you want to do that.
As a family unit, what was the first
Yeah.
significant thing that you chanted
Yeah,
about?
that's a good one.
Did we have the same goal? No.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Was the result the same?
Yeah, we got married. No.
Yeah.
That was a
big
struggle.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, now this will be a good one. What challenges did you face talking about this Buddhism to other people?
Yeah. I don't know. Have you said I don't know.
Well, when I first started, I didn't have any chat. It was,
Yeah.
I told everybody.
Yeah.
Of course, you got a negative reaction and positive reaction, but
What was the most negative reaction that you recall?
I was told I was going to hell.
Were you really?
And how did you confront that?
No, it was a friend of mine. I was trying to Shakabuku, and we talked about Buddhism versus his Baptist upbringing, and he said I was going to go to hell, and I still tried to get him to chant anyway, but we stayed friends.
Right.
You know, I just told him, hey, I can't believe that you're trying to enjoy life, that you're going to go to hell.
Right.
You know, so.
What were the biggest struggles in the beginning, and how did you feel that?
I think ours was always financial.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We were poor
Very poor.
with 3 kids.
Yeah, it's kind of what I said a little bit, I alluded to today, you know, it was just a
And
struggle.
overcoming the obstacles and
It was through never giving up, really, and then the support of the members, the leaders, you know, the women's division
Yeah.
at that time were mostly Japanese.
Mhm.
And they really took care of us. They really had treasured member care.
Oh, yeah.
And that was made the difference. Well, you know, he went through his depression swings but they were always there to make me strong.
right.
And so I could support him.
And how long have you been involved in the leadership of that organization?
Oh my gosh. I off and on. I don't know, a long time.
Yeah.
30 years? Ever since we got married, we've always carried some kind of responsibility.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's been about
In your current position, what's the biggest reward that you?
My human revolution. Yeah, I've really felt myself grow in my current position. So, and I think that's the advantage of taking on responsibility in the organization is you really get to expand your life. And I felt that this last year.
Right. And the members that you encourage.
At first I was chicken. I'm like, I can't encourage anybody. You know, who am I? But you know, through really the guidance of the senior leaders that really supported me and had faith in me, they really helped me understand that it's my heart that's important. It doesn't matter what comes out. Well, of course it matters what comes out of your mouth, but they feel your heart, you know, and that's what I
Right.
had to trust.
And what's the most significant thing that you've noticed in one of your members that you've supported and encouraged in their human revolution? What would you say the biggest benefit and gain in seeing somebody else's growth has been?
Do you?
Oh, I know mine.
What is yours?
Bob and Shoko.
Oh, wow, that's a long time ago.
This when we lived down south.
That's amazing. Yeah.
They were homeless, and they would come over to our house almost every couple
We were
of
very
days.
poor too.
Yeah, we had a common thing: no money. Except we had a house we were renting, and they didn't have anything.
Right.
Yeah.
With 2 girls, they lived on the street, and they're members. And so Bob would come over, and we'd have coffee and chant together. Because I was working nights, and then I was unemployed, so we were all struggling. And he never gave up. That's the one thing I admired about Bob and Shoko. They built their own house out in Bastrop.
They went to the
Week
library.
by week. Bob would read books on how to build a house. And they both worked at a fast food restaurant, so they'd take a little bit of money every week, go buy supplies.
On that little red car.
Yeah. And it took them probably a couple of years. You know, it got burned down
Brick
in
by
Bastrop
brick,
Fire.
stone by stone.
It was.
Plank by plank they did it.
Oh yeah, and he was so proud of that,
Yeah.
you know, and they had meetings out there, everything. That district grew when they did that,
Right.
and and he's really come a long way. I was just
It's a beautiful new house now after
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bastrop fires.
Oh,
It burnt down in the fire,
yeah.
and now he has a beautiful.
but it was a benefit for him, you know. It didn't bother him at all. I mean, I'm sure it bothered him,
Right.
but it didn't set him back.
Right.
You know, they kept going, and they were one of the
He
first.
built it on faith, so the faith
Oh, yeah.
stood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like
Yes.
they were one of the first ones to get a FEMA loan to build their house
Wow.
again, where other people were waiting for a year or two. You
Right.
know, but
It's a
yeah,
house built by faith.
Yeah.
Yes, and really supports other people's faith.
Right.
That's important.
Right.
So,
that Bastrop district,
Yeah.
they all take care of each other out there, and you can really tell because they got some strong members out there now.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's right, I forgot about Bob. And Shoko.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They used to take a. They said they had a little trailer. It was probably about half the size of this room
Hmm.
that 4 of them lived in. And Shoko said to take a shower, they had to go outside and just run a hose.
Oh,
You know, luckily there was no neighbors. She said, you know, they were on 5 acres of nothing. But yeah, it was something else. We'd go out and visit them every once in a while, and it was funny because Bob was telling me that because him and Shoko would do all the work, and at one time when he started working more full time, he hired some guys to come in and put a wall. And he said, Jim, he said, my wall was straighter than theirs. these guys were professional, you know. So that's how meticulous they did their house and everything. So it was great.
what's been the most significant obstacle for you?
For me personally, I think it's my profession.
Okay.
You know, really finding what I want to do and what I love to do, and then maintaining that. So,
Tell us what exactly it is that
what
you
I
do.
So I am a consultant. I help companies or states or agencies put in their human resources and payroll software. It's a particular software, so it narrows the field down. It's PeopleSoft. And so I just happened upon this. I used to work in a payroll office for the city of Austin, and I thought I liked what I did until I figured out that I really love configuring systems. So I'm a business analyst side.
Okay.
So, but when you're
How long were you chanting before you finally had that realization?
I chanted a long time, and you know what really led me in that path is an obstacle. So the deputy controller of the city of Austin told my manager that I did this great job on this project, and so she was trying to get me more money or a bonus or something.
Right.
And he said, no, not Joan. You know, she's only I'll give her 50 cents an hour a raise, but that's as high as she can go here. So I'm like, okay, that's, to me, I'm like, okay, that's my son.
Right.
And so she was so honest. She's my Shoten Zenjin. She really protected me.
Right.
And really I felt like because of her and him, I was able to change my direction and where I wanted to go. And so I started looking for a new job. And I found this job where they were doing it. The reason that she wanted this raise is because I was on this implementation team. It wasn't PeopleSoft, but it was another product. And I loved it. She said I did a great job, and I was surprised, she was surprised. And so I went out and looked for another job in Austin, and they were doing another implementation. And so they saw that on my background.
Okay.
And they hired me, and that's where everything started taking off. And I'm like, because I love doing this. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to work in a normal office ever again, which I don't think I have to. I've been doing this for 17 years now.
How does this coincide with your practice? Does it give you the freedom to...
Well, initially I didn't know how to handle this with my practice because being a consultant I had to travel. So in the early stages of my career, I was probably an area leader when we had areas in Austin. In the beginning, though, I wasn't. I was probably a chapter leader. We were chapter leaders for a very long time. And then as I assumed more responsibility, it seems like my jobs got more important and bigger, and I had more responsibility at my job. And I started to have to travel. I went to
Tennessee,
East Texas, then Tennessee, Oklahoma. And so I kept getting guidance. I kept seeking out how do I still be a good, effective leader and, do my job right because I'm on the road. And so I think I went to FNCC and sought guidance from Linda Johnson.
Okay.
And she said, this is where you really have to put your faith in your prayer and really chant that when you're out of town, bodhisattvas of the earth will appear everywhere to take care of members and problems that happen. And then when you're in town, you really run like heaven. Yeah, so I forgot to mute my phone. Sorry.
Clean that up in post.
Okay. Sorry.
Now, as far as shakabukus, how do you encourage members to get out there and really spread this practice to other people? What are your words of wisdom to that?
Well, first, for me personally, I feel like I have to start. I have to start with my prayer, which I've been really trying to utilize my prayer that bodhisattvas of the earth are emerging and they want to practice, and I'll find them or they'll find me. And so I feel like I need to start first. And so I've been chanting that I can do my personal shakabuku. I can introduce, wow, I haven't gotten my personal shakabuku, but everybody around me. My son brought his girlfriend. My grandson's stepfather is coming. There's people.
Now, when you're encouraging your team members and everybody that's with you in your district to really, get the shakabukus out, how many are you encouraging each person to have, like each month, as far as?
No number.
No number.
No
okay.
number. Just it's really to me. It's your prayer that's important to really seek out for the happiness of others. And so I would never, I know I have a personal goal, and I know that I've heard some pioneer women in other regions say, I'm going to do one a month.
Right.
But I feel like it's up to each individual, and it's up to their prayer.
Right.
But we reach out every day, we meet somebody.
Right.
And I want them to feel my life, like I'm sure they feel your life, right? And so I want to carry that type of Buddha nature around.
Right.
So that they're like, she's different,
Well, that's one of the things that I've noticed as far as fortune babies versus people coming from a Christian viewpoint coming into the practice, how much easier it is for people to have been in a Christian background to say, oh, I'm Buddhist. Oh. It comes out a little more naturally.
Oh.
Do you bring that up just conversationally as far as?
I think so. I'm not sure. It seems very natural to me.
Right.
When we start up, but in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, I want to do shakabuku, right? So, any opportunity that I can say I'm Buddhist and try to open the door for questions. Do you feel the same way?
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of it. Like she said, is a goal. I think all of us really have that goal in our mind, whether we're actively thinking about it or not. But people are attracted to you if your life condition's higher.
Right.
And if you're going to work when there's so many problems, but you're still smiling and have a great attitude, people go, well, what's going on with you? They might think you're crazy at first, when everybody else is all upset and don't want to be there. But, so I try to be more natural about it instead of saying, hey, I'm a Buddhist.
Right.
Sometimes I do that, though. Sometimes I do a card, when I have you can kind of feel when someone's receptive, right?
Yeah.
And my kids are like, there goes mom again, but it's like, hey, have you ever heard of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo? But, so much, we used to do that all the time, right?
Well, that's one of the things Ellen had pointed out to me, the shakabuku versus just introducing somebody to the practice, which is called what?
Shoju.
Yeah. So as far as shakabuku, you have to explain what Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is and really get that through to them.
And that's the, just by that humanistic or altruistic action that you take, I think our life shifts too.
Right.
Just by that, So it kind of, even though we're doing it for others, but we're really taking care of our karma too. Really trying to change our karma. But to me, it's kind of fun because, and of course, you like to tease your kids, so it's just like, oh, well, they're talking about, oh, let me get my card out,
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
3, and are they all brought up within the practice?
Yes.
Do they all practice?
No, they don't all practice. They're all Buddhists.
They're all Buddhists.
About 1.5 out of the 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are their ages?
34.
34 is my oldest.
30.
And 28.
Okay.
Yeah. They're all, and even my son that doesn't actually chant with us, and I ask him, he goes, I'm Buddhist. And so sometimes I think, I say, you should chant for this, Ted. He goes, I chant inside, Mom. So I don't have to, I know, I have confidence, I don't have to worry about my kids. When it's my time to go, they'll have a foundation because of the efforts that Jim and I have done.
Right.
So, yeah, it's cool.
And what would you like to tell us about this practice and how it, not only how has it shifted your life and your focus, but how have you been able to really make a difference in other people's lives in your faith?
I know I keep thinking, because we spend how many hours at work? 8 to 10 hours at work. Yeah. And I feel like every project that I go on, they are sad to see me leave. And so I feel like it's because I bring an aspect of my Buddhahood into my work. And whether it's not that I have the knowledge or anything, like my manager that I just finished a project last Friday. I'm unemployed this week. Yay! Yeah. And so he actually sent me an email to my personal email saying, I'm really going to miss you. I didn't get to say goodbye. I really enjoy your positive attitude. And they call it positive attitude.
Right.
You know, a lot of people don't
Life
understand
condition.
it. Yeah,
Right.
It's a life condition. And it's really trying to unite a team. Because I usually work in a team of people. And it's so easy to create disunity, you know, with judgment and criticism, but it's so difficult to create unity on a team. So that's a concept in Buddhism that I really tried to carry throughout my work environment. And probably should even apply it to our family, huh?
Teamwork.
Right?
Teamwork.
Unity, yeah. Family unity. So, but I feel like that part of my practice is really, it's doing human revolution so that you can overlook the differences between people.
Right.
And whether, you know, capabilities sometimes, you know, people learn at different speeds and can grasp things sooner. Not saying that I'm always that way, you know, because fundamental darkness will hit when you're least expecting. But I think that I can bring that most of the time.
Right.
And that's the part of my Buddhism that I really appreciate, that I can have that type of outlook and that type of impact on my community or my office or my job, my family, I hope. What do you think?
Well, you know, it's funny because she was saying positive attitude, and I know over the years with me practicing, I've gotten a lot of those same comments. In fact, I just got my review at work, and my supervisor wrote down there that because our company last year was going through some really hard times, and the lab I work in was part of that problem. And so anyway, we could have lost a very big customer because of what had happened, and she wrote in the review that even though the company was going through a really hard time, that I maintained a whole positive attitude that whole time and kept everything going. You know, and that made me feel good. You know, because it wasn't anything I really sought for, but it was just because of my practice.
Natural
you
state
know,
of your life.
right? You know, and yeah, sometimes I get angry too. I mean, that's part of my humor. I've been dealing with that for almost 40 years. You know, but it's getting better. It's getting a lot better. But you know, and I think that's just it. It's if I look at my job too, is because when we first started out, I was in the military, and then when I got out,
I cried.
yeah.
I wanted to travel.
But you know, it was really difficult trying to find a job, and for a long time it was more about getting a job to support the family.
Right.
You know, and I tried various things, and then back in the 1990, 91, I was working for a company. I had just started there.
Good job.
A very good, I mean, the best job I'd ever had.
Most money.
Benefit, I mean, it was great. And I was laid off after 3 months. Company all of a sudden took a downturn, they laid me off. Okay. Of course, the first thing I do is freak out, you know, because my oldest son was going through some real difficult times then too. He was in middle school. And, but it was a benefit in a way because, well, it was a benefit because I didn't have a job, and I was able to pay more attention to him. I would go to school with him and deal with his teachers, and so it ended up being really good that way. But it took me 3 years to find a permanent job. And the thing that happened was one of my previous employers had gone through bankruptcy, and they were coming out of bankruptcy, and they were rebuilding. And the supervisor I had at the time called me up out of the clear blue, said, "Do you want to come back to work?"
Was this Traco?
Yeah.
Oh.
And said, "Sure, I'm not doing anything right now," you know.
I'm really busy.
Yeah. But I went back and I've been there ever since, so I've been there like almost 25 years, you know, and it's been great. I mean, first it wasn't much money because they didn't pay me much, but over the years, just struggling, just keep going, and everything's just worked itself out, you know. And like I said, she makes the money, I make the benefits, you know, and that's a great combination between the two of us.
He had to get used to that.
Oh, I know. That was another human revolution thing.
It was
you know?
his human revolution.
Yeah, mine.
Mine too, because I couldn't rub it in your
I
face.
know. Well, that was a man thing.
It was a woman thing too.
Well,
Proud. No.
Through this practice, how have you learned to identify your points of human revolution and when it's time to tackle one of those points?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've learned not to say anything to him. No. I'm kidding. Even last night, what was the conversation? Was it this morning? I mean, it's really hard because we both hold different responsibilities in the organization, and I can't give him guidance. Right? And so I have to watch how I speak to him because he takes it as guidance, and so it's we have to be careful sometimes, and he gets angry and. I back off.
I don't need your guidance.
I'm not trying to give it. So, but I mean, that's a perception, right? Even though I may not think I'm doing that, I'm trying to have a conversation related to what we're doing or something, but he takes it as that. So it's
Sometimes you stumble over your guidance and trip somebody else up.
Well, and it's my learning
too,
and understanding where he's coming from or him understanding where I'm coming from. And really not getting angry. So, and he has come a long way with his anger. I mean, he used to have such an angry nature. And, the kid would just get scared and I would have to sometimes come in between them. And, but it's in the last 20 years, I guess, 20 years. It's been so good. I mean, of course, he's had his outbursts, and I've had mine, I'm sure. And so, but I think that now the anger nature, I'm trying to take it. Sometimes I just shut down and say, go deal with it. But I tried to take it as okay. What do I need to change? There's something that I'm in my life that's creating this anger with him. What is it? And that's the hardest thing in their family to identify. So that was a good.
Do you journal your human revolution as far as the steps and the progress and?
The way I do that is through my letters to Sensei. I wish I would have done this, and I keep saying I'm going to start. I think it was James Herman that said that all of his letters to Sensei he keeps. Because that's like his journal of human revolution. Yes. And so I'm like, but I haven't gotten to that point to save them yet every time. I mean, I have them all over the place, but to keep them together by date and see how far I've come. But I can look back at where we've been and, how we've grown. We've been married for 35.
Yes.
Oh, that's Jason Burke. Can I mute that? Can I step? It's
We can pause.
Okay.
We can pause if you need to take it.
I don't need to take it. I just need to mute it. And that wasn't on there, right?
Jason will see later and say, okay.
No, I don't need to take that. No.
I'm just gonna keep rolling. No, sorry, I'm just gonna keep rolling.
Oh, okay. You cut it.
pull it out.
Make it more casual conversation. And along those lines, the first couple questions, I didn't quite have the levels where I wanted them, so if we can just probably also a good thing, get more. So now the juices are really flowing. It sounds very good and very natural. So it's
okay.
but hey, right on, sounding good.
Do you have any questions? Or?
What kind of questions do you have, Shannon?
Like, how do you see your friends? 35 years back. How are they placed compared to how you guys are placed?
Wow. I actually.
It's your friend mainly.
Well, I actually looked up my old roommate. When we first met, I had a roommate that I just loved. Dadgummit, I thought I muted that. And so I looked her up on Facebook. We got married in 1979, so it's 36 years.
That's about the last time you had contact.
That's the last time I saw my roommate and one of our good friends. So I looked him up last year on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how are they doing? And they're doing good. Yeah. I mean, they all know I'm Buddhist and stuff. But I feel like my life has been working towards helping other people. So I really feel like the value of my life, I created value in my life. And so if I had to go right now, I'm fine. And so that was my friends that aren't practicing, but I do have friends that I practiced with in high school that I keep in touch with. And it's so encouraging to keep in touch to see how we support each other. So I have a friend from high school that really went through a difficult time in her relationship, and so we could all focus our prayers, to really help her have a victory, or when one lost their parent or they got sick. And so that type of having a bond of friendship that's deeper than just like my roommate. I love my roommate because we really had a great time. I felt like we were like sisters for a few years, but that bond didn't last like my friends from high school that we practiced together as kids in high school. And for some, we met Sensei together. There's like 19 Americans in Japan, and we met Sensei in 1971. And so the girls that I practiced with in Japan at that time, we still connect, and we're all across the United States. So I feel like we're developing together, and our bonds are so much deeper than just like a friendship. So comparing, that type of friendship, the kind that we build in the SGI, to a kind of friendship that's not based on faith, it's different. It's not bad or good, but it's different on how we create value and how we can see the connection through lifetime, not just years, through the lifetime.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing. So I really feel fortunate that, when I see youth division practicing together, and I know that their bonds will become deeper and deeper as they grow, and they can support each other no matter what happens. Because we keep, we connect throughout our activities, and we all have common bonds that we work towards, and we all want to see each other succeed.
Right.
So that's the joy of having that buddy.
I didn't have friends. Well, let me put it this way. Okay.
Did you chant for them?
He doesn't want them. He's okay.
The thing was, is when I first started practicing, I was in the military, stationed here in Austin, and all those guys that I knew have gone. And
Like passed away, gone?
no, I don't know, because we never kept we never kept in touch, and basically the friends that I have are SGI friends that I've known since I started practicing,
In what year?
1976, and there's still plenty of them around,
Yeah.
especially the women's division.
Who's that?
Mrs. Hayes
Oh,
and her mom and dad, the Llewellyns, and there's just been so many people. Ellen, oh yeah, Ellen. We were co-leaders in the youth division for a while.
yeah.
In the
Everybody
district.
loved Ellen as a youth, by the way. all the men wanted to date Ellen.
Yeah, I tried. I think one day. But it's different because I think besides being a religious organization, there, like Joan was talking about, just with her high school friends, those bonds that you make with people, they're valuable, man, and they never go away. And I see that now. I work with some guys, and they still have friends. They're my age, and they still have friends from high school that they see, but they've never moved out of the state or anything else. They grew up here, and I see that. And I try to connect with some of my high school friends, but they go, "Who's he?" Or, "Yeah, we used to hang around." But
What was your personal experience of meeting Sensei?
I've never shook hands with him, but I have seen him.
Yeah, you're in Dallas.
Yeah,
84?
we
Oh,
had
gosh.
1984. We had a big convention in Dallas, and I went up there with several other young men in men's division, and we went up there like a week before the convention, and we helped set the stage and do some things, and we were exhausted by the day of the convention, and they asked me to be in the behind the scenes group, the Soka group, taking care of the members and everything else. And I remember they grabbed me and said, "Okay, stand in this line," and they had a whole bunch of young men's division standing, making a corridor, and Sensei came walking through there. Okay, and that was the first time I'd ever been that close to him, and I mean, when and I could feel his life, his energy. And I went right then, I said, this is the guy I'm sticking with. I mean, it was that powerful. You could feel his life condition, you know, and that right there. And I know I've been practicing, about 8 years in, but just from that one brief meeting, it changed my whole concept of never giving up. You know?
Wow. Cool.
My best experience was when I was 15.
Okay.
I participated in it, like we call future division now, but it was
Right.
junior high school group, and we
Okay.
went to at that time it was the head temple, and so Sensei had it was called Shutobu, and he had a big summer course for them. So we spent the night on the temple grounds and stuff,
Okay.
and they wanted the 19. I referred to the 19 Americans.
Okay.
We were the only Americans in the whole group, and
Okay.
so they wanted us to perform at the last minute. And so we got together and sang America the Beautiful. We practiced a little bit, but we sounded horrible. I know we sounded horrible. And so, but we were on stage, the 19 of us, and Sensei was in the front row of the audience. And even though we sounded horrible, he was like, you know, thank you.
Right.
You know, he was so appreciative. And I'm just like, that man is amazing. And I don't know, I don't speak Japanese.
Right.
But really, I felt like he saw a mission for us in the United States. And that's what my girlfriends that do speak Japanese, and they're like, that was our prime point, we have to really report to Sensei. So they remind me,
Okay.
you know, every anniversary that we have, so 1971. So next year would be, how many years is 1971 to 1916?
Is that 40?
45?
45, yeah.
Yeah, so they're, you know, their eyes like, we need to write to Sensei, you know,
Wow.
that's our prime point. He's really, you know, expecting us to, you know, work
Wow.
hard. So really all of us, pretty much all of us took responsibility for, you know, Kosenbufu in the United
Right.
States.
Right.
At some point, district or, you know, chapter, however we could reply to Sensei.
Got
So.
it. And the last question I had was, like, you guys are still young, right? And
Yes, we're very young.
I mean,
Turned 29.
yeah, right? And, like, how do you, like, wanted to ask, like, what are your dreams from here on? Like, what do you really want to work on? And then, you know, the concept of aging in Buddhism, you know, you don't really, like, you get younger, right? You get more refreshed. And, I mean, I see my friends, you know, same age, but they're like, they've given up, you know, they've fallen into the pattern, whereas we are like refreshing our lives, renewing
That's
our lives,
good,
right?
yeah.
So, you know, on that note.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing is, I know with practicing Buddhism, it's really strange. Well, it's really good. Is like we were talking about. Sensei says, subtract 30 years from your life. That's how old you should be.
Yeah.
But mentally, I feel that way. You know, and physically, I'm trying to get that way. You know, but yeah, I like you. I've seen people, and I'm going, wow, they're younger than me, and they look that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Buddhism is, even when you chant, when you do gongyo, when you do activities, you're always changing your body anyway. You're recharging those cells in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great thing, you know. And I have a good friend, she's always telling me, you're never old, you know. Don't ever say you're old. And that's so true, because you can see 80, 90-year-old people out there, they're still running marathons and everything else,
that's
you know.
right.
So old is a state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And Buddhism just helps you keep that younger spirit, you know. Even Sensei, he's what, almost 85, and he's still writing and
86.
doing things, and you know, where most people his age are sitting in a retirement home, ready to give up,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah, Buddhism keeps you young.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Cool.
Ditto. No. No, but my dreams, my
Yeah.
hopes. I used to always, you know, hope that, you know, Austin will make its mark. But now I really see Sensei at one time said Texas, you know, has to be its own territory. So he has great. He came to Texas. Sensei came to Texas in
Wow.
1984. So I really feel like that the Texans, all of us Texans in this room, have a big mission. You know, and this is a great opportunity for us to respond. So I want to respond with tremendous victory within my own life. So I want to be able to, you know, work wonderfully and enjoy my work and just, you know, share this Buddhism with others and create this victory throughout my life through Texas. And I don't know if that didn't sound right, but that's okay. That's
No, I
that's
think
my
that's good.
my yeah.
That's
So
How I want to respond is, and then also, I want to be able to enjoy other aspects of my life, taking vacations with my family. I took my first vacation, and it's so interesting because we have a lot of responsibility in SGI, and so last year my daughter was like, "Mom, we got to go to Europe," and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's right in the middle of August, and we have a big, the World Tribune, doing 50,000 pubs, but." When I got guidance, they're like, you have to be able to show everybody you can do everything in your life. And so it was wonderful. There's bodhisattvas that just came in and helped keep the rhythm moving in Texas and throughout the zone. And my daughter and I enjoyed a beautiful vacation in Europe and bonded again. And so it's really, I want to be able to do everything in my life without sacrificing one part of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's how the practice is supposed to work,
That's
right?
right. But sometimes we forget, right? And sometimes I'll be practicing harder, but other times I might have to play harder, so it's not going to always be
Create
30,
balance.
30, 30. Yeah, yeah. Balance isn't equal.
Right.
Sometimes one's going to be higher than the other. So I'm like, I finally get that.
Stay within
yes,
the tube.
that's right. Yes.
Rob, you had anything?
Yeah, sure. What kind of, say, popular things are you into nowadays, like movies or TV shows, or what are your interests? Just as a modern 2015 couple, what do y'all like to do
Together or individually?
Well, yeah, sure, individually and together, yeah.
Okay.
I still read. I'm
He's
a voracious
avid,
reader
yes. And a vapor.
and a vapor.
He vapes.
Well, good for you.
Trying to quit smoking.
I have vaping, whatever it is,
All
all
over
over
the
my house.
Could be worse.
That's true.
Well, between me and my oldest son and youngest son, but yeah, like I said, I read every chance I get. I don't know why, I just love it, and
He always finds different hobbies. He's a hobby person.
yeah. Until she starts yelling at me and I go find something else.
So who's your favorite author, or what's fiction, nonfiction?
Well, my favorite was
Dadgummit. Sorry.
Everybody dance.
I think my favorite author of all times was James Michener. And he wrote some
Hawaii?
Hawaii, Centennial,
Uh,
Texas. I mean,
That's right. You did read a lot of
Oh,
He's from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and he did a lot for the University of Texas also. In fact, I think after he died, his wife, who just happened to be Japanese, she donated a lot of his artwork to the university, and they named a chair after him and everything.
Did you go to Texas as well?
No.
He's a Colorado person. Or
I love Texas though, believe me. The University of Texas.
Cool.
And another reason I like James Michener, and this is still part of my dream, and is he was a writer, but he didn't start until he was in his mid-40s. Okay, I'm a little bit older than that, but that's still my dream, to write one book before I die.
I told you, write a children's book.
No, that's
Let's end on that note.
okay.
Never give up. Never
That's
give
right.
up.
That's right. Never